Hello there. Have you ever wondered about canceling one of your credit cards that you are not using, but you did not do that because you don't want your credit score to decrease? Well, my buddy Frank has thought about it too. And today we'll be talking about how and whether we should cancel our credit cards and how to do it so you don't get docked on your credit. Contrary to a popular belief, canceling credit card might not always be the negative thing for your credit. In actuality, it depends on a couple different factors, whether canceling a credit card will have positive or negative effects. Your credit score, also known as FICO score, Fair Isaac cumulative score, comes from three different credit bureaus, which are TransUnion, Equifax, and Halifax. No, I'm just kidding. I was checking if you were paying attention. TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. Those are the three credit unions which reports are measuring your FICO score. And FICO score is a cumulative score from the three reports and is measured with the following criteria. This is the breakdown of your credit score. The percentage amounts indicate how important the part is for your credit score. The most important, as you can see, 35%, is your payment history, whether your payments are on time or late. Number 2 is amounts owed, which also is known as a utilization. Utilization is a ratio of how much the total credit lines do you have open, meaning how much of money is in your credit line. All cumulative amount of all your credit cards, how much you would be able to take if you need it, versus how much you are actually using. For instance, if you have 3 credit cards, each one is $1,000, then your credit line would be $3,000 because each of credit cards is $1,000. But if you are using $300, then your utilization is only 10%, which looks good for the credit bureau. However, if you were using, let's say, 2,900 off of those 3,000, then your utilization ratio would be about 99 or 98%, which doesn't look too good. Makes you look like you are a risk for the banks because you are not managing your money correctly, having such a high debt that's not being paid. This amount accounts for 30% of the credit score. Types of credits, they are only for 10%. The banks like to see variety of credit lines such as car loan, credit card, house loan, etc. Length of credit history is self-explanatory, and new credit means new inquiries. Many people are worried that if they apply for new credit cards or they get credit inquiries, automatically the credit will go down. Well, you see, the fact is actually that only hard credit inquiries, such as when you are already signing up for credit card, can be seen on the 10%, the new credit inquiries. Soft inquiries, which are made by most of the credit cards with the initial pre-qualification, are not affecting this new credit, that 10%. Even if you had hard inquiries, again, that is only accounting for 10% of your credit score. So if you were to cancel your old credit card that you've had for a while, affect two of these parts of this chart. It would affect the length of the credit history, which is accounted for 15%, and possibly the amounts owed. As you can see, the length of the credit history is not a significant part, and whether this part will be affected or not, it depends whether your card that you are canceling is longer or shorter than your average age of your accounts. To determine your average age of accounts, you would have to take all of your accounts, which are credit cards, can be car loans, etc., and add them all together, all the years, add them together, and then divide them by the number of the accounts. So if you had, let's say, 3 credit cards and each of them 10 years, that would be 30 years altogether, divided by 3 would be 10 years average. So it's a simple average. Now, to determine whether the credit card cancellation would have negative effect on your credit score, you would have to see whether the age of the card is larger than the average age of the accounts. If your average age of accounts is 10 years, but you only had that card for a year and a half or 2 years, that will not affect your average age of accounts, because the card you had is shorter actually than the average that you have of other cards that you had. However, if your average age of accounts is, let's say, 5 years, and you had that card for 9 years, then yes, that will shorten your average age of the account, because that card was what was actually keeping it longer. The second part, which can be affected when you cancel one of your credit cards, is the credit utilization ratio. So how much you owe. So for instance, if you had 3 cards and each of them was $1,000, together your credit line was $3,000. You canceled one of them and now your credit line is only $2,000. So whatever debt you had is a larger portion of it. It's a larger percentage. Before maybe it was only 10%, but when you canceled one of the cards, now it might be 40%. This factor can be countered though with if you close one card and you open another one, which let's say it's more beneficial, the rewards might be more helpful to you. You see, you close one, so you decreased your credit utilization, your credit line. However, you opened the one that you wanted and you increase it again. So you can get docked on few points from new inquiries, which is only, like we saw, 17%, but you will actually gain on 30% part of the pie chart, which is much more significant for extending your credit card utilization. Now you have the 2 tools that you can use, and you can make your own determination whether you should cancel your old credit card or not. Good luck, and see you in the next episode.